a sudden it just turns into like she's like a Steve Urkel character, but she's still like super metal. But then it's like, oh, she's like,
Steve Urkel. Did I commit genocide?
Did I just sterilize a whole planet?
Oh.
I can't. Oh, as Steve Urkel. Thank you.
Oh man. So, they're there, and so that sets off alarms on the planet. Soji's doing her thing, and then she hears the alarm go off, so then she pulls up a different window on her computer screen and releases the orchids, which we only have 10 of them. Don't forget, they had 15, and they'd used some of them, and now they only have 10.
That shot where she looks up and sees all the ships orbiting the planet is really amazing also.
It has them warping in, like you can sort of see them more and more, and I think that's cool when they do that, because everybody's not going to arrive at the exact same time. So I like when these space shows do that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it was cool because it was daytime when some of this stuff happens, and it's a dark night sky, so it was really neat to see it during the day. I think they like to hide CG in the darkness.
Yeah. No, I also enjoyed all the ships coming out of warp individually. I also even liked the scenes of when they were like traveling in warp together, like in formation. They looked like they were in that like tunnel.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Very cool looking. And I have to say that like the scene with like when the orchids come up, I mean, we saw that earlier with the cube and with La Sirena. But like when the orchids come up and start to envelop the ship and stuff, I just thought that whole scene looked so beautiful. Like the orchids looked so gorgeous, and like they looked so realistic. Like for a CGI ship, like they looked very realistic, and they just looked so beautiful. Like they even would like they were like shimmering. Like almost as if there was a breeze like blowing through their petals. It was very just beautiful as they, kind of opened up and like tried to protect the planet.
Breezes in space. Oh, sorry.
No, of course there's no breezes in space, but it looked like some solar winds. I don't know, but it looked so pretty.
I like it. For me, for some reason, them doing that with the La Sirena in there, it just looked like, I don't know, like whenever they show like blood cells going through a vein or so, like those kind of visuals, like almost like that. Now the ship was microscopic. It was like inner space or something, I guess.
I know those orchids looked huge in comparison to their ship.
Yeah, it really like obviously they were big because they took down ships, but it's like you didn't even realize how big they were, and it was just really cool because they were sort of floating among them all, and then trying to dodge things. I thought it was really cool looking. Well, while they're in the orchids, Girardi says, "Oh, well, we should figure out how to do something." And he's like, "Yeah, I mean, we could." And she's like, "Yeah, we can name it the Picard maneuver." And she's like, "Wait, that's what we should do. That really is a thing." And so then, they talk about what the Picard maneuver is, in case you've forgotten about him about him doing the thing on the Stargazer and making it look like there's more than one ship. And they're like, "Well, we don't have anything to do it." And then she sees the imagination flute on the dashboard, and she's like, "Hey, maybe we could do this." And she's like, and I thought it was a little much personally for her to be like, "Hey, look at my face," and she's got it, and her face is like a ton of her face around.
Oh, it was a horrifying moment.
I was like, that's too much. I don't like that. Also, has anyone heard from Faye? Because Faye does not like Agnes.
That's the first thing I thought of.
No, I don't know what Faye thinks about it, but I feel like we have to get her thoughts on on this whole scene and this whole episode because of how much she dislikes the character of Agnes Girardi.
Yeah. And I think somewhere I wrote her name was Alice, and I'm really sorry if I called her Alice at some point in time instead of Agnes.
It's all right.
She can be Alice.
I don't know. I type so fast. I'm always sitting here trying to fix the behind the scenes. They'll probably see like the notes changing as I'm trying to fix, grammar and spelling and stuff on the shared documents. Anyway, back to a show. General O, I'm just going to call her General O since she's a general and I obviously don't remember her real name. She orders to target I put Abomination's nest because I thought she said abomination and not admonition, but also
target the Abomination's nest.
Okay. Yeah. Well, at least she doesn't die, so maybe we'll be able to do that next season too. She happens to see the La Sirena then, and she just says to like ignore it because someone brings it to her attention, and that's when Picard tells Agnes to use the imagination machine, and then they multiply, and they all look like they've warped in. They all have warp signatures, so all these people think that all these Romulans think that this is like a fleet or something at first. So
it looked incredible too.
Yeah, it was really neat, and that because they're all like the same ship, and that was kind of fun. And Picard kind of has a ping of his illness, for a second, and then it goes back to Soji, and she's finishing on the transmitter. Then O is like, since she said we need to ignore this, she's like, hey, let's resume sterilization. Like, she's just like, resume sterilization. So, like, she's not just going to completely rid a planet of every living thing on it. She's sort of like that mustache twirling, maniacally laughing sort of villain in this, Yeah,
I feel like O started out as like a really complex double agent character, and has just sort of, now that she can, she's clearly left Starfleet. Like, there's no way, like, she's burned that bridge. She cannot go back to Starfleet at this point. So then for her, she really has become like a full-fledged, cape swirling, mustache twisting villain, tying innocent women to railroad tracks. She's just sort of just gone all out. They really, which I kind of miss all that sort of intrigue and stuff that they built up around her. But man, when she decides to, unleash her evil side, boy, does she unleash her evil side.
No kidding.
Like, one of her monologues to herself should have been like, oh, I'm glad that I'm finally back to the way I'm supposed to be. I hated pretending to be nice to some people. Like, if she thought that the way she acted was actually pleasant before. So yeah, O calls to resume sterilization, and just then Starfleet shows up. So all the holograms have been shot out of the sky. The La Sirena almost has, and then we're saved by Starfleet.
Hooray!
The lead ship is the Xinhe, and it is captained. Excuse me, he's not piloting; he's captaining. By William T. Riker. Woohoo!
Hooray!
Yeah, what a nice surprise! What a nice surprise that they held back, because we knew that Riker and Troy were in one episode.
Yeah, and then he directed a couple. Yeah,
and so then for him to be on this one, what a great surprise! I really enjoyed it, and I did read that the class of ship that he's piloting, for those that are interested, it's called the Curiosity class. of starships. It is a new class that he is piloting, and also Jonathan Frakes filmed this when he was directing some episodes of Discovery. Up in Toronto. So they filmed his scenes up in Toronto as he was directing Discovery.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so that's exciting. He shows up. He hails O, and, he's telling her who he is and how, she needs to back off and all this stuff. And then Picard barges in on the call. And he's asking for, like, diplomatic immunity for this planet and all that kind of stuff. He's like, please don't hurt the, and Riker's just kind of like, they're going to be defended by Starfleet, and, you can either leave or you can fight us. And, well, because Commodore O is so metal, she's all like, lock your phasers, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
That's not the word for the ship ones, but like, what is it? Proton torpedoes or something. Anyway,
reposition disruptors. Engage
that's what
them.
She said. There's our disruptors. That's what they call everything. Yes.
The way she says engage them is fantastic.
So yeah, she's like, okay, we'll take care of you, and then we'll go take care of these abominations. That's kind of her thing. So Picard's sort of illness episode isn't over. He seems still kind of like woozy and out of it, and he asks Agnes to to pull up an open channel. So this is open to everybody. Like, I didn't think about it until, he wants to talk to Soji, so pulls up Soji. He tells her to bring him some medicine. She, punches him with the hyper spray. And Picard is telling Soji, she needs to power down to show the Romulans and everyone else and everybody in Starfleet that didn't believe them before that she's not the monster that everybody thinks she is, that synths aren't the monsters that they think they are. They're not. They have the choice to do it, which, telling someone they have a choice and kind of pushing them to that choice is also kind of manipulative. But, make the right choice, which is don't kill me. But, hey, we'd all do that, I'm sure. She doesn't want to really listen because, Starfleet didn't trust us before. Why should they now? And he said, well, I do. I trust you, and I know that they do now, and do this for us, and don't kill anybody. And, she does power down, and we see, like, we had seen the portal open up before and nothing come out of it. And then we see it, and it's got, like, these tentacle things. I was like, what is that?
That's like the ultimate tentacle robot monster.
Yeah. Don't worry. We're only going to kill the biological beings.
The whole speech that Picard gives to Soji is so fantastic, though, that his impassioned plea there saying that, we save your lives so you can save ours, and that's how we get through this, is by helping each other. And it's just really beautiful. And just for a moment, I expected somebody to yell at her to shut down the Tesseract.
But yeah, like, he does have a very good Picard speech. All over the place, since he's so wordy, but they're always very powerful and everything. Yeah. So, they go back to the Romulans and Starfleet and stuff, and the Romulans end up, standing down, and they're going to leave, and Riker asks if they need an escort, and she's just like, that won't be necessary. She's so mad. It's like, wanted to fight today.
Well, the whole season's been leading up to this confrontation, right? Like,
yeah.
and you've got to imagine how O feels that she's worked her